Now, are you signed to a label at the moment?
I'm not.
And I appreciate that. I think that that is so fascinating because I am pro no label. I think that that is. I think that if you're well, let me rephrase it. I think you have to know yourself. I think that you have to be familiar with who you are as a person and comfortable in that. Because me being more business savvy, like it would be a waste for me to go to label. Some people that might not be as business savvy. Well, you could build a team around you, or it might benefit. But
Right.
I find it so impressive and so inspiring, and I actually I really appreciate bringing to light these people that are really making it work with no label. I think that is an incredible feat, and I think it should become more public. So I'd love to hear if you have any comments, or I could ask some questions about that.
Um, when it comes to labels, man, I think that I'm gonna walk carefully here. No, I think when it comes to labels, man, I think that they have a strategic purpose,
Sure.
and I think that if it works for you, it can work for you. But
Mm-hmm.
labels are not like and not for everybody. Like I think this is probably gonna get me in trouble with a lot of parents, but I think college is not for everybody.
College
I
dropout, absolutely.
I think college is not for everybody. I think there are certain things that are just not for everybody. They are amazing systems that are in place. And if that's for you and you take that path, it can work out amazingly for you. But I think that for a lot of people, college is not the route. Like I never went to college because I felt like there are things you can teach me that I'm probably not going to need and I'm going to forget more than I remember. And the things that I actually really need, like I'm learning those now. Like the things that I really need, we should have learned like earlier than college. We should have been taught financial literacy
A
earlier.
100%.
College. See what I'm saying? A whole lot of things. So when it comes to that, I think that labels are just that things like for some people they're amazing. They can help you with artist development. They can put you in the room with like amazing songwriters. They can get you what you need to be in the right like studios, whatever may have you, blah blah blah. But also we are in the technological age where you can pull out a
Preach.
laptop, you can pull out your SM7, you can pull out your Focusrite, you can get a Logic or Pro Tools, get Auto and literally make an entire album. You can have
Absolutely.
your friends that are up and coming come around you and play their wonky acoustic on your record, and it'd be authentic and it was genuine. People feel it, so it's like you really don't need like labels either.
Absolutely. And
So it's like
you mentioned even putting people in the room with people, and it's like with the digital era, you start to build your own platform, and
yeah,
you can almost insert yourself into the room with a lot of. You could just send a message, you can send an Instagram, you can send an
yeah,
email. Get a
right.
little scrappy, find people's
Get a little
emails, and
scrappy, right? So it's like here's the thing. I think this way. I think a lot of people. Let me just say it this way: if you want a fast route or what can seem like a fast route to like your dreams as an artist, then yeah, you can get with a label. It's not a guarantee, but you can get with a label. If you want to be independent, it's the long game.
absolutely,
You have to be business savvy. You have to learn things along the way, and it's like it's not gonna necessarily be the thing that's like overnight sensation. No, you got to actually put in the work. You're gonna put in the work with the label too, but there's a lot of things you're probably not gonna have to worry about because you don't know to ask those questions.
hmm.
But like when you're independent, you have to do it a lot on your own, and it's everything has pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons because you can be signed to a label and get it out the mud, just like you can be independent and get it out the mud. And you can get to a label and things will be amazing and take off, just like you can be independent and it can take off. But it's just like it's different pros and cons and it's different variables.
Hmm.
So when it comes to labels, like I think they could be really good for certain people. And then I think the independent route is good for other people too.
Do you see yourself sticking independent? Do you see yourself potentially getting a label if the right opportunity
I'm gonna
comes?
hold on to my independence as long as I possibly can. Let me just go ahead and be honest.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, I appreciate that. I think that that is. I think that we need more artists like that. I think that I can see in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years the label dominance is going to be becoming less and less. It's
That's
just
unless,
becoming less and less. It's becoming less and less relevant, I
of
think.
course. I'm just
Absolutely.
trying to hold on my independence as long as I possibly can.
Preach,
It's
man.
like, I'm not trying to sign deals that don't make sense. Like I'm not trying to sign things because I'm a person like if I feel like I'm under pressure to write something, then I can't do that.
Mm.
So, and I feel like once you sign contracts and things like
Well, that
that,
kind of goes back to the earlier conversation of like you wouldn't know what that you have to now you have to perform now.
exactly. And I'm a person that's like my space. the people I'm around, like my community, they've eradicated the idea of pressure out of my
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
because I get to be here and be myself and not have to have this pressure to produce or pressure to perform at all. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, they ruined it for everybody else. I'm not going to ever be in a space where I feel pressured. If I feel
Yeah.
pressured, I'm not going, like, because I can go home where I'm loved and there's no pressure.
Preach.
So I'm not going to sign a contract that make me feel like community is so important. If we have a community of people that stand behind you and like, look, we with you, regardless if the dream happens or not. You know, we're with you. We'll find a way and we'll make it work. We
Mm-hmm.
have that, it changes the game. Because then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm not going to sign that contract if I don't feel peace about it. If I feel pressure about that, I'm good on that. Why? Because I love my peace too much. I love my space too much. I love the fact that I don't have any pressure to try to make something happen.
Yeah.
Like when you work out of that space, you might get some really good product, but you could have had amazing product if you would have took your time and didn't have
Mm-hmm.
the pressure. And perfect example, maybe people don't even know this, but I have a friend named Abby Wilson. She goes by the name of Yeba.
Mm-hmm.
Took time to put her album out instead of
Mm-hmm.
forcing it out of pressure. And it's the most amazing album I've heard in
Yeah.
a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because she didn't give into the pressure. Like, I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna process my life and I'm gonna process my heart. I'm gonna process everything, blah, blah, blah. But I think like once you get in spaces that put pressure on you, it's hard to produce anything.
I
So
absolutely agree.
independence means freedom. Independence and freedom means that you have no pressure to do anything. It also means harder work, but
Mm.
it's independence. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at history, anytime that somebody had to go independent, that means they had to till the ground and pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. And they had to make things around them different and palatable for you to live. You know what I mean? You had to cut down trees and build things with your own two hands. It's a lot more work, but it means freedom. You get to make your own rules,
Yeah.
your own precedents. Anyway,
Absolutely. And that kind of goes right back into the pros and cons you were saying. Everything has a pro and con. So the pro is you're free. Like, you and I could probably go and do whatever we want today,
mm-hmm.
but it's a lot much harder of work. You know what I mean? Like the work, like it's very, very, very different, and you
Oh,
really have to put in the work.
you have
So,
to.
but people don't normally see that. They just see the freedom that comes with it. They don't see the work that comes with it, and that's why I think so many, not just even in music, just businesses or
It's,
entrepreneurs flop. Because
absolutely.
they don't realize that it's literally grinding your teeth every single day.
Yes. Chance the Rapper, because he's independent, can say what he wants to on his tour.
Yeah.
As an artist that's a Christian, if he wants to have altar call at his tour, he can do that, and they can't tell him he can't because he's an independent artist. When you're not an independent artist, labels can tell you what you can and can't do. If I want to put
Mm,
out a rock album tomorrow and a country album the next week, I can do that because I'm independent, and they're not going to tell me, "Oh, you can't do that because it'll mess up this, that, and the third." And we have stake in your life because we put this much money and X amount of dollars into your life. That's a different ball game. It's like I'm not. I just for me, it just doesn't work. I'm giving the reason
I
why
hear
it
you.
won't work for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hear that. But now you have management, though,
I do.
correct? So how did you decide? How did you know when you were ready to go and get management?
When I realized my life was a mess because I couldn't keep up with everything.
That's a good problem to have, though. I guess, right? Career
Listen,
wise.
I this is the thing. I hate like trying to map out things and schedule things and plan things. Like I absolutely hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a spontaneous person. Like
Mm-hmm.
I make spontaneous like decision. Like I literally will make a decision. Like I'm making a decision right now. Like at the end of tour, I'm definitely going to like Universal Studios or Disney World or something. Like I'm definitely going. And that's a spontaneous decision. Like I'm willing to, but I found a person in my life that's like, I love to do all of that stuff. And I looked at her, I'm like, do you want to do this for me? So and she's like, yeah, what's the pay? And I'm like, oh, I'll make sure you get like well taken care of. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
don't want to like handle my life. Like,
Yeah. So, so you went out and sought somebody. They didn't seek you, right?
um, yeah, I actually like was looking for like there are people that are like asking to do it, and it's nothing against them. I just was like, I want someone that's like in like the space I'm in, so that they
Yeah.
understand like my heart posture. They understand why I make decisions I make, and they understand like the overall like dream of everything. So
Yeah.
the days when I feel like slacking off, they're like, no, this is the mission.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like me personally, I'm like I'm everything's changing in my life. Like my roots, my theology, my everything in my life is changing, and me wanting to like be this the person, the goal to be a better person in these areas require me to sacrifice certain things on this side of things. And I'm being very vague, I know, but because she understands the mission, she's like, hey, you said you wanted to be this. So
Hmm.
you have to like not, you have to not sway on this. You cannot budge on this. And we
Yeah,
find balance. So I wanted someone that understood my life. It's like, hey, if I want to take a year off, I need you to hold me to it because I'm giving you the keys and the power to my life to tell me
sure.
no.
Yeah.